Hello there. Are you a fan of the story Corduroy? Well, you'll love this project that incorporates corduroy with a really wonderful artist by the name of James Rizzi and his fabulous Rizzi cities. And we're going to combine the two into a 3D stand-up, fun illustration of what would happen if corduroy were to visit a Rizzi city. I'm going to walk you through all the steps. I'm going to show you some examples of Rizzi's work, and then we're going to get started going over the materials and making your own fun Rizzi city. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm glad you're here. Let me introduce you to the two artists who inspired this project today. First of all, we have Don Freeman, who was the author and illustrator of Corduroy. And interestingly enough, Don Freeman was first a musician, but it's when he lost his instrument on a subway in New York City that he eventually turned to creating illustrations of performers, and that led to interest in his work, and later he developed this wonderful story about corduroy. One other interesting fact about this story, that it was actually written during the civil rights movement, and it's interesting because the child in the story is an African-American girl, which was a rarity at that time in history. So pretty cool story. Now, Mr. Rizzi was actually born in Brooklyn and studied art in Florida before coming back to New York City. And he became famous over a long period of time. He actually started out selling his work on the streets of New York City, where if you've ever been to New York City, you will often see artists working on the street and selling their pictures, photographs, and prints. And he first made his fame come alive by making 3D buildings, but you'll notice these fun, playful pictures of cityscapes. So we even have some buses down here, and here's another fun, elaborate picture by Mr. Rizzi, and he's just a joyful artist. He even got a little spaceship coming in here, and the two combined are the inspiration for corduroy visiting a James Rizzi city. So let's go over and let's get started and go over the materials, and I'll walk you through the process. Have fun. Let's get started by going over the materials for your project today. So I have my bag here. First, I'm going to take out the cardboard that has some paper attached to it. So you have a little taxi cab. You have a paper city. Now, you can draw your own city if you want, but I provided one for you. Inside here, you have a cardboard base and sides, so you can use either side of this. You have some black and 2 sheets of blue paper. So we're going to put all that aside for a minute. Now, additionally in the bag, you have a bear for corduroy and a drawing of a bear, and this goes with the taxi cab. So I'm giving you a few options for coloring in, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then you have a smaller bag, and inside of there, you have a little bit of glue, a glue stick, double-sided foam tape, and a couple pieces of cardboard. Now, in addition, you will need a little bit of tape, you will need a pair of scissors, and you will need markers of your choice, or color pencils or crayons. All of these will work. Okay, now that we've gone over all the materials, let's get started on the first step. So I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, welcome back. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to color in our city. So we have a city, we have a taxi cab, and we have corduroy, and we are going to be cutting these out, so keep your scissors handy for after you color them. And you just want to color them in bright, cheerful colors. So I'm going to move these out of the way for a minute, and I'm going to start on my Rizzi city picture. And as I told you earlier, the thing about Rizzi city paintings that he did was that he was into fun, bright, bold colors with fun facial expressions on the buildings. He often had his birds flying in the air. And if you look up James Rizzi, you will see what I'm talking about. And we're gonna have a little bit of a nighttime city and a daytime city, so half and half. Doesn't matter what color your buildings are, you get to choose. But when you come back, this should be colored in all the way across, or make your own city if you wish. Here is corduroy, and now corduroy is a tan bear, so you can test some colors out that you have to say, okay, there's one brown, or do I want him to be a slightly darker brown, or something in between. But you get to decide because it's your project. And once you found the color that you like, you're gonna go ahead and color him in. I think I'm gonna go with this mid-tone, and I'm gonna color him in. This is his fur. And we're gonna give him some colorful clothing. And he is called corduroy for a reason, because he's wearing a corduroy jumper, or you could call it, you know, a onesie, or you could call it overalls. But whatever you want to call it, he is wearing a little outfit when he's adopted by the girl in the story. And I'll color his arm later. This is his little belly fur here. And I think I'm gonna make his clothing a fun green, like this. I'm not gonna color in the whole thing. That'll just take too long, and I think you wanna have time to color your own. And then I might go back and add some lines to suggest the corduroy texture right there. So color that in, and finally, you have a taxi cab to color in. Now that could be a fun yellow, it could be orange, it could be pink, it could be blue, whatever you want. But color in your taxi cab, and we will too be cutting that out a little later. So have fun, and I'll see you back here after your coloring is done. Okay, I have my taxi cab colored, my buildings colored, my corduroy. Now I'm just gonna finish cutting him out really quickly here. I like to turn the paper rather than turn the scissors when I cut. I find it's a lot easier to do that. So last little bit, and there we go. Now, take your corduroy and your glue and your craft stick, and the markers aside for a moment, and you don't need a lot of glue. Look how little. I mean little. People tend to overdo it with the glue, and they also neglect the edges. So I'd rather see a little bit of glue, not a lot, and mostly along the edges with a little in the middle. So look how I put the glue on there. Not very heavy at all. I'm gonna put my corduroy right on top. Now he's got some real support, just like that. And his hat, yes, goes a little overhead, but that's a little intentional when we cover up that little hole, that little hole at the top of the wood shape too. All right, so I'm gonna put this aside and just let it dry for a few minutes. Same thing with our taxi. We're gonna just take the taxi, which is cardboard, not wood, and we're gonna take, again, just a little bit of glue around the edges, not heavy. You should actually have glue remaining at the end of this project because we don't need to use so much. Like that. Here's my taxi. Just gonna superimpose it right on top. And listen, if you see a couple little bits of cardboard showing, first of all, it's not a big deal. Second of all, you can always go in with your scissors and trim off what you don't like. And if you see something coming up, like this little wheel, just put a little extra glue on it, hold it down. The bumper needs a little glue. The top needs a tiny bit of glue, and maybe this bumper, and that's it. I see a little bit of cardboard showing here. Again, not a big deal, but easily cut off. And the top, just gonna give that a tiny little trim, and good. These two are done. So let's put those aside. Keep your glue out. And the next thing we're going to do is fold your little cityscape in half. Just fold it down the middle and then open it up. Yes, it's going to go in the middle of the building, but that's intentional. In the next step, we'll address the sky and the two skies, the night and the day sky, and we'll attach our city. So go ahead, get these two glued, get everything cut out if you haven't already, and fold this. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're now ready to create our backdrop, and we do have two skies. So you can decide which one is going to be the day and which is the night. I think the dark one is going to be the night and the light one's going to be the day. You might want to think about which one looks more like a nighttime city and which one looks more like a daytime city. I like this on the nighttime side, this on the daytime side. So I'm going to move that aside. I have my cardboard. Here's the fold. And once again, I'm just going to put little bits of glue, just using the tip of my craft stick. I'm not putting any glue down here. No glue in that area, please. You're not going to want to do that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side so I can build the night and day skies. A lot easier than trying to color around those buildings, right? Little bits of glue. So here comes my nighttime sky. I'm not going to put it down here. I'm going to line it up with this edge and the fold line and smooth it out with my hand. Now I'm going to get my daytime sky. Once again, I'm going to line it up with the edge down here, but I'm not going to put it down in this area. Have it touch where the blue, darker blue comes in. So they come together almost like a book, and you can fold it and you can say, oh, I got a little bit of a problem there. So let's try to fix that and check again to make sure you have your paper where you want it. Check for anything coming up like this corner and just say, okay, I need a little extra glue there. Is this corner coming up? Not so much, but a little extra glue. How about this one? We could use a little, again, don't overdo it, a little extra glue in each corner. Make sure we have a good fit. Come down here, check those corners. Here. And maybe, not really there, and a little bit over here. Fold it, making sure your paper stays together. It does. Great. Now we can add the building overlay on top with the fold lining up with the fold of the cardboard. So it looks like this. So when you fold it, this is going to line up with this fold right here. So once again, we're going to use a little glue, especially at the tops here, so that we get a good grip. I'm going to move this down here for a minute while I put glue on the back of the cityscape, like this. Again, just applying little dots of glue, especially near the bottom and the edges, less in the middle, but I do want to get those points of the building that I really need to stick, like the pointy rooftop here and the stair step here, like this. Okay, now make sure you know where that fold is. I know the fold is right here, so I'm going to line up that fold right here in the middle, fold it over to make sure. Line it up with the bottom. Again, I'm not gluing it down here. Smooth it out. Oh, if you get a little glue on there, no big deal, because the glue will dry clear. Get some on your hands, which I did. You can wash that off easily too. So just smooth it down all the way across. And again, do a quick fold like right here I see. Just want to make sure it folds nicely. It does. I'm gonna try to make sure this stays down because it keeps wanting to get up. But you're not gonna fold it like a book anyway, so just smooth it down, particularly near the center where the fold is. Make sure you got a good fold. Okay, get that done, and I'll see you back here so we can add a few decorations to the sky, and then we'll move on to building the base where the taxi and the road will be. See you in a minute. Okay, you've been wondering, when are we gonna use this cardboard? When are we gonna use that double-sided foam tape? How are we gonna put all this together? Well, that's what we're gonna do now. So we're gonna see that we have our finished city. This is when these flaps become very important. So you're gonna just fold them up a little bit. You're gonna get your double-sided foam tape and peel it off gently from the little plastic it was on. And I want you to cut it into small pieces. We're gonna put one here, right in the middle, okay? We're gonna put another small piece right here at this end, and another small piece at this end. I don't know if we'll need this extra, but let's keep it handy just in case, all right? Now this is double-sided foam tape, so what you do is just peel off only the green paper on top, leaving that sticky foam behind. So you have 3 little pieces. You're gonna peel them off. And the first thing you're gonna do is form the middle of this piece. So again, these are pushed up. Now you see the tape here? You want the tape, the side without the tape, to stick to it. So that's gonna form that V shape that you see here. I'm pressing with my thumb. Do you see how it makes a V shape here? And when you turn it, you have your building in the middle, you have your cities on both sides, and you can see how it's now gonna be standing up. Now we're going to use another little piece of tape. I was right, we did need it. Right here in the center again. And this is what's gonna hold our cardboard. See this piece of cardboard here that was cut just to fit this? I think it goes the other way. Like that. Maybe pull this in just a little if you need to get it to fit tight to the foam tape. And now you have a base for your city block. But we don't want it to look white. We want it to make it look like a city block. Now my paper is cut a little too big, and yours may be too, but that's all right. I'm gonna do the same thing I've been doing. A little bit of glue here, here, here. I prefer dots of glue than scraping it all over. Just enough to hold down our black street. So I'm gonna tuck it in here. And you may notice, like I did, that my black paper is too big. Easily fixed. Flip it over. See that excess black paper? By flipping it over, you can see exactly where to trim it off. Oops. Got to keep this in place when I do that. And I just trim off, turn it around so I can do the other side. That piece of black paper. Then you can still sort it out, push it over as needed on the front, and then you can decide whether or not you need to trim it some more. And here I have a little bit of cardboard showing, so again, just a little trim. There, now I have a good fit. So what I'm gonna do next, after I get this little sliver of paper glued down, there we go, is bring my taxi cab in here so it can be driving down the road, but my cab is not gonna stay up by itself. So this is where tape is very useful. So what I'm gonna do is fold one piece of cardboard, actually, yeah, fold this one, but I'm gonna cut it in half so I have 2 pieces, and I need 2 pieces to hold up my cab. So I'm gonna take that, fold it in half, take this one, fold it in half, and you could always slow this down or review it, but it's not that big of a deal. Now, holding the cab upside down. I'm gonna line up my cardboard so it looks like an L shape. It's coming out here and it's gonna be taped to the back of my taxi cab. I actually wanna line it up with the wheel, not in the middle, like I had it a moment ago. So there's one. You can see sideways, it comes out like the letter L, and this part is taped to that wheel. Now we're gonna take another piece and we're gonna take this and tape it to the other wheel. So again, you have two L-shaped supports that are going to support your taxi cab on the road here. So take a little tape from your tape dispenser, cut a little piece of tape off or tear it off. And now I'm able to stand the cab up, tape it down to the black, one piece, and now two pieces. So you have a standing cab with the cityscape behind. Now you got your corduroy, right? So we're gonna do the same thing to corduroy with the other black piece. In fact, I'm gonna cut this in half this way, so it's a little shorter. And I'm gonna do the same thing on his legs that I did to the taxi cab. I'm gonna make sure they line up, put a piece of tape, if I can get my tape to cooperate, that is. It's being a little fussy here. And I'm gonna tape one, try to line up with the bottom of his feet, one here, and I'm gonna get another little piece of tape, do the same thing to the other side, line it up, see if they're about lined up at the same point, tape that down to the back of my corduroy, and now he can stand up like he's hailing a taxi in the city. Remember those days before Uber and Lyft? People still do hail taxis in the city, I think, but Uber and Lyft have certainly jumped into that market. I'm going to need another little piece of tape to hold the two carefully down, and then I'm going to get one more piece of tape, and I'm going to stand up my corduroy right next to the cab as if he's waving to get a cab in New York City. So it looks really fun, really simple. I might need two more little pieces of tape. If your corduroy is falling forward when you pick it up, like mine just did, you can simply take a couple small pieces of tape and just get him taped around that piece of cardboard in the back here. And I'm actually wrapping it from the front of corduroy to the back just to give him some stability so he's not falling down. And doesn't that look great? Now, if you have a white color pencil or even a light yellow color pencil, you can put some lines on the road or a sidewalk, and you can just enjoy a little city-themed corduroy meets Rizzi and his New York cityscape. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this program. This is Doris Benter of Library Arts. I hope you join me again for a future program, whether in person or virtually. And in the meantime, stay creative, stay safe, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.